I paid for their luxury weekend. The hotel, the champagne, the spa treatments, everything. I wanted to give my son and his wife a break, a chance to reconnect. But as I stood at the reception desk, ready to hand over my credit card for the final bill, my daughter-in-law leaned over to the concierge and said 6 words that froze my blood. She didn't know I was standing right behind her. And she definitely didn't know that those 6 words would cost her everything she thought she owned. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are right now. The lobby of the Grand Hotel du Lac smelled of expensive lilies and old money. Marble floors polished to a mirror shine, chandeliers that probably cost more than my first house, and staff who moved like ghosts, silent, efficient, invisible. I stood near a potted palm, adjusting my tie. It was tight. I wasn't used to wearing ties anymore. Since I retired from the construction business 5 years ago, my uniform had been flannel shirts and comfortable jeans. But today was special. Today was my son Mark's 5th wedding anniversary. I had organized this weekend as a surprise. A suite with a lake view. Dinner at the Michelin-starred restaurant downstairs. A couple's massage. The works. It had cost me $8,000, but I didn't care. Mark had been looking tired lately. Stressed. His architecture firm was struggling, though he tried to hide it. And his wife, Chloe, well, Chloe was always stressed. She was a woman who seemed to vibrate with a constant, low-level dissatisfaction with the world. I hoped this weekend would help. I hoped it would bring back the smiles I hadn't seen in a long time. I watched them walk toward the reception desk. Mark looked handsome in his suit, though his shoulders were slumped. Chloe looked stunning in a red dress that fit her perfectly, her hair cascading down her back in carefully styled waves. She was laughing at something on her phone, ignoring Mark completely. They reached the desk. The concierge, a young man with a perfectly trimmed beard, smiled at them. "Welcome back, Mr. and Mrs. Bennett. I hope you enjoyed your stay." "It was adequate," Chloe said, not looking up from her phone. "Though the service at breakfast was slow." Mark sighed. "It was wonderful. Thank you." "Excellent," the concierge said. "I have the final bill prepared. Mr. Bennett, your father already covered the room and the amenities, but there are a few incidentals." I took a step forward, reaching for my wallet. I intended to pay for the incidentals too. Room service, drinks at the bar, whatever they had enjoyed. I wanted this to be a gift with no strings attached. But before I could announce myself, Chloe leaned over the counter. Her voice dropped, but in the quiet, cavernous lobby, it carried perfectly. "Actually," she said, "put everything on the old man's card. He's paying for it all. He's desperate for us to like him." I froze. My hand stopped halfway to my pocket. "Chloe," Mark whispered, looking embarrassed. "Don't say that." "Why not?" she snapped, turning to him. "It's true. Your dad is pathetic. He thinks throwing money at us makes up for him being a bore. Let him pay. He's got nothing else to do with his money except wait to die so we can have the rest." The concierge looked uncomfortable. He shifted his gaze, and that's when he saw me. Standing 10 feet away. My face drained of color. My hand frozen on my wallet. The young man's eyes widened. Mark saw the concierge's reaction and turned around. When he saw me, his face went gray. "Dad," he stammered. We didn't see you." Chloe turned slowly. She didn't look ashamed. She didn't look sorry. She looked annoyed. "Oh," she said. "You're here early." "I came to pay the bill," I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Calm. Too calm. But it seems I've already paid enough. Dad, she didn't mean it, Mark started, moving toward me. She's just tired. I meant every word, Chloe cut in, crossing her arms. Let's be honest, Arthur. You buy us things because you're lonely. You want to buy our time. And we let you because, frankly, you owe us. Owe you? I asked. For what? For Mark's childhood, she said, as if it were obvious. For being a workaholic. For not being there. Now you have money, and we have needs. It's a transaction. Don't act like it's love. I looked at my son. I waited for him to defend me. I waited for him to tell her she was wrong, that I had worked those long hours to put food on the table, to pay for his college, to build the life he enjoyed. I waited for him to say, "My father loves me." But Mark just looked at the floor. "Dad, please," he muttered. "Let's not make a scene." That silence broke my heart more than Chloe's words. He agreed with her. Or he was too weak to fight her. Either way, the result was the same. I was a wallet. A bank account with a pulse. I looked at the concierge. "Remove my card from the file," I said clearly. "Sir?" "The room. The dinner. The spa. All of it. Refund my card. Put the entire charge on Mr. Bennett's card." Chloe's eyes went wide. "You can't do that. It's already paid for." "It was a gift," I said. "Gifts are for people you love. Transactions are for business. And since this is a transaction, I'm declining the deal." "Dad, don't," Mark pleaded. "I don't have $8,000 on my card. It'll decline." "Then you better start washing dishes," I said. I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard Chloe screaming. "You old bastard! Come back here. You can't leave us with this bill." I walked out of the hotel doors into the bright sunlight. The valet brought my truck around, my old, reliable Ford pickup that I drove despite having millions in the bank. I got in and drove away. I didn't look back. But as I merged onto the highway, tears blurred my vision. I had to pull over. I sat on the side of the road for an hour, crying for the son I had lost and the truth I had found. That night, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Mark. Chloe. Even Chloe's mother, Linda, called me to mediate. I blocked them all. I sat in my living room, the house I had built with my own hands 40 years ago, and looked around. It was too big for one person. It was filled with memories of my late wife, Martha, and of Mark when he was a boy. A boy who used to run to me when I came home, smelling of sawdust and sweat. "Daddy's home," he would shout. Where had that boy gone? I realized Chloe was partially right. I had been lonely. I had been trying to buy their affection. I paid their mortgage. I paid for their cars. I paid for their vacations. I thought if I made their lives easy, they would love me. But I had only made them entitled. I had turned my son into a weak man and his wife into a monster. I needed a plan. Not just to cut them off, but to teach them a lesson. A lesson about value. About respect. About what happens when the pathetic old man decides to stop being a doormat. The next morning, I went to my lawyer's office. Mr. Henderson had been with me since I started my construction company. He was an old friend. When I told him what happened, he didn't look surprised. "I never liked her, Arthur," he said, pouring me a cup of coffee. "She has shark eyes." "I want to change my will," I said. And I want to restructure the trust fund. The trust fund for Mark's children? They don't have children yet, I said. And if they do, I'll set up something separate for them. But the main trust, the one Mark was supposed to access when I die, I want it gone. Gone. Dissolved. The money goes to charity. The Children's Hospital. The Veterans Fund. I don't care. Just get it away from Mark. Henderson nodded, typing on his computer. And the house? Mark is currently living in the property on Elm Street. The deed is in your name, but you let them live there rent-free. Evict them, I said. Henderson stopped typing. He looked at me over his glasses. Arthur, that's nuclear. If you evict them, they'll be homeless. Mark's business is failing. You know that. I know, I said. And maybe if he has to pay rent, he'll work harder to save it. Maybe if he has to struggle, he'll remember who he is. It will destroy your relationship with him forever, Henderson warned. The relationship is already destroyed, I said. He stood there and let her call me pathetic. He let her say he was waiting for me to die. He made his choice. Now I'm making mine. Serve the notice. 3 days later, the eviction notice was served. I wasn't there to see it, but I heard about it. Mark came pounding on my door at 10 p.m. I didn't open it. I watched him from the upstairs window. He looked desperate. He looked scared. Dad. Open the door. Please. We have nowhere to go. I wanted to go down. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to go down, to hug him, to fix it. That's what fathers do. We fix things. But then I remembered Chloe's voice. He's desperate for us to like him. If I opened that door, it would prove her right. I would be the pathetic old man buying their love again. So I stepped back from the window and let him knock until he gave up. The next week was a war. Chloe launched a smear campaign on social media. She posted long rants about how her toxic father-in-law was throwing them onto the streets in the middle of a financial crisis. She left out the part about the luxury hotel. She left out the part about what she said. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years called me, asking if it was true. It's true, I told them. And if you want to know why, ask her about the reception desk at the Grand Hotel. Most people didn't ask. They just took sides. I lost some friends. People who thought family should be supported no matter what. But I kept the real ones. The ones who knew me. The ones who knew I would give the shirt off my back if I was treated with respect. Then came the lawsuit. Chloe convinced Mark to sue me. They claimed, promissory estoppel, that I had promised them the house forever and they had relied on that promise to their detriment. It was a weak case, but it was annoying. It meant I had to see them in court. The hearing was set for 2 months later. In that time, they had to move out. They moved into a small apartment in a rougher part of town. I heard Chloe had to sell her designer bags. Mark had to sell his Tesla. Reality was hitting them hard. During those 2 months, I did something else. I started spending my money. Not on them. On me. I booked a trip to Italy, a place Martha always wanted to go. I bought a new truck. I renovated my kitchen. I started volunteering at the local trade school, teaching young kids how to build things. I realized I had spent so much time hoarding my wealth for a future generation that didn't deserve it, I had forgotten to enjoy it myself. The day of the hearing arrived. I wore my best suit, the one I had worn to the anniversary dinner. I walked into the courthouse with my head held high. Mark looked terrible. He had lost weight. His suit was wrinkled. Chloe looked furious. She glared at me as if she wanted to set me on fire. Their lawyer, a young guy who looked like he was fresh out of school, tried to paint me as a monster. Mr. Bennett promised his son this home, he argued. He created an expectation of stability. Pulling the rug out now is cruel and unusual. My lawyer, Henderson, stood up. He didn't argue about promises. He argued about ownership. The deed is in Arthur Bennett's name. There is no lease. There is no rent payment history. They were guests. And guests can be asked to leave. Then Henderson played a card I didn't know he had. He called a witness. The concierge from the Grand Hotel du Lac. I turned to Henderson, shocked. How did you find him? I'm a good lawyer, he winked. The young man, whose name was David, took the stand. He looked nervous but swore to tell the truth. Can you tell the court what happened on the morning of June 14th? Henderson asked. David recounted the story perfectly. The bill. My arrival. And then, the words. Mrs. Bennett said, put everything on the old man's card. He's paying for it all. He's desperate for us to like him. He's got nothing else to do with his money except wait to die so we can have the rest. The courtroom went silent. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair, looked at Chloe. Chloe turned bright red. Mark put his head in his hands. And what was Mr. Arthur Bennett's reaction? Henderson asked. He was devastated, David said. He looked like his heart broke. The judge didn't need to hear much more. She dismissed the case in 10 minutes. Mr. Bennett owns the home, she ruled. There is no evidence of a contract promising perpetual free housing. The plaintiffs have 30 days to remove any remaining belongings. As we left the courtroom, Mark stopped me. Dad, he said. His voice was cracked. Dad, I'm sorry. I looked at him. I saw the regret. It was real. He wasn't just sorry he lost the house. He was sorry he lost me. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't pay the rent, Mark. I didn't say those things, he pleaded. She did. And you stood there, I said. You let her. That makes you an accomplice. You're a man, Mark. Start acting like one. Stop letting her drive the car. I walked away. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Leaving my son standing on a courthouse sidewalk, crying. But I knew if I turned back, I would undo everything. He needed to stand on his own 2 feet, even if his legs were shaking. 6 months passed. I heard rumors. Mark and Chloe were fighting constantly. The money stress was tearing them apart. Good. A marriage built on someone else's bank account isn't a marriage, it's a parasite. One evening, I was in my garage working on a woodworking project, a cradle for a neighbor's baby, when a car pulled up. It was a beat-up Honda. Mark got out. He was alone. He walked up the driveway slowly. He looked different. He was wearing work boots and jeans. His hands were dirty. Hi, Dad, he said. Mark. I'm not here to ask for money, he said quickly. I wanted to return this. He handed me a check. It was for $1,200. What's this? It's the first month's rent, he said. For the years we lived in the house. I know it's not much. I did the math. I owe you about $150,000 for the 10 years. But I'm going to pay it back. Every cent. I looked at the check. Then I looked at him. Where did you get this? I got a job, he said. Construction. I'm working for a guy in West Portland. Framing. I almost smiled. You're an architect, Mark. You're framing houses? Architecture wasn't paying the bills, he said. And nobody is hiring right now. So I went back to what you taught me. Hard work. He looked at his hands. They were calloused. And Chloe? I asked. She left, he said. 2 months ago. She found a guy with a Porsche. Said she couldn't live like a pauper. He looked up at me, and his eyes were clear. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, Dad. Losing the house. Losing the money. Losing her. I was drowning, and I didn't even know it. You saved me. My throat tightened. This was it. This was the lesson. I didn't save you, I said gruffly. You saved yourself. Can I? He hesitated. Can I come in? Maybe get a beer? I looked at the check again. I folded it and put it in my pocket. The fridge is in the garage, I said. Grab 2. We sat on the tailgate of my truck and drank beer as the sun went down. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. He told me about the job, about the foreman who was a pain, about the satisfying ache of muscles after a long day. I listened. I saw the man he was becoming. A man who understood the value of $1 because he had sweat for it. He paid me every month. $1,200. It took him a year to get back on his feet properly. He started his own small contracting business. He started designing small renovations and building them himself. He was good at it. He was happy. I never gave him the trust fund back. I kept it donated. But I did something else. I put the rent checks, every single one he gave me, into a savings account. 3 years later, Mark came to me. He had met a new woman. Sarah. She was a teacher. Kind. Down to earth. They wanted to buy a fixer-upper. A small place they could renovate together. We have the down payment saved, Mark said proudly. It took us a while, but we have 20%. That's good, I said. I'm proud of you. I went to my desk and pulled out a checkbook. I wrote a check for the total amount of the rent he had paid me over the last 3 years. Plus interest. Here, I said, handing it to him. Dad, what? No. I paid this to you. I owed you. You paid your debt, I said. You paid it with respect. You paid it with hard work. This isn't a handout, Mark. This is a return on investment. You invested in your own character. And it paid off. He took the check. He didn't cry this time. He just hugged me. A strong, man-to-man hug. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me, I said. Just promise me one thing. Anything. If you have kids, teach them to carry their own luggage. He laughed. Deal. Mark and Sarah bought the house. I helped them fix the roof. I'm 70 now, but I can still swing a hammer. I spend my weekends there, not because I have to, but because I want to. Because I'm welcome. Not as a wallet, but as a father. As for Chloe, I heard she married the Porsche guy. I also heard he went bankrupt 6 months later. Karma has a way of balancing the books. And me? I'm still traveling. Still painting bad watercolors. Still driving my Ford truck. But I'm not lonely anymore. I realized that you can't buy family. You have to build it. And sometimes, to build it strong, you have to tear it down to the foundation and start over. I paid for a luxury weekend and got insulted. It was the best money I ever spent. It bought me my son back. If you enjoyed this story about tough love and redemption, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think I was too hard on Mark, or was it exactly what he needed? And click the box on the left to hear another story of justice served cold. Thank you for watching.